Title: Gas Giant Bloom. The iridescent tapestry of Xylos's rings shimmered, a kaleidoscope of ice crystals and dust motes caught in the gas giant's gravitational embrace. Nestled deep within this swirling celestial ballet, almost invisible to the casual observer, lay the clandestine rebel base known as the Whisperwind Anchorage. It wasn't a singular structure, but a complex network of interconnected habitats, carved and built into the largest of Xylos's icy moons, a frigid world named Aethelred. Aethelred itself was a marvel of geological upheaval, its surface a chaotic jumble of fractured ice canyons, towering crystalline spires, and vast, subterranean caverns bathed in the ethereal glow of Xylos's reflected light. The anchorage wasn't built for beauty. Functionality reigned supreme. The main habitats were carved directly into Aethelred's icy heart, gigantic bubbles of reinforced transparent polymer protecting vast, cavernous spaces from the brutal vacuum and radiation of space. These structures, a testament to ingenious engineering salvaged from old Republic vessels and supplemented with scavenged Xylos native materials, were interconnected by a network of pressurized tunnels, some hewn from the ice itself, others fabricated from repurposed spaceship hulls. Within these tunnels, shimmering bioluminescent fungi, harvested from deep within Aethelred's crust, provided a soft, ethereal illumination, casting long, dancing shadows that played tricks on the eyes. Life within the anchorage was a delicate balance of scarcity and ingenuity. The rebels, a diverse coalition of humans, Xylosian natives, a species adapted to the extreme cold and low gravity of their home world, and various other species fleeing the iron fist of the Hegemony, lived under a strict rationing system. Food was cultivated hydroponically, a constant struggle against the limited resources and unpredictable energy fluctuations. Water was recycled meticulously, every drop precious. Air, a luxury in this harsh environment, was constantly monitored and purified. The political situation was tense, a fragile alliance forged in the crucible of rebellion. Different factions, each with their own agendas and ideologies, held sway over various parts of the base, occasionally erupting in minor conflicts that were swiftly quelled by the anchorage's collective security force, a ragtag band of experienced fighters from various backgrounds. Technology within the anchorage was a mix of salvaged Hegemony technology and ingenious reverse engineering. While the Hegemony possessed advanced weaponry and AI, the rebels' technology was cobbled together, relying on ingenuity and adaptation rather than pristine efficiency. Energy was primarily sourced from Xylos's powerful magnetic field, harvested through a network of intricate collectors embedded within the ice. Communication relied on a network of modified long-range comm units, constantly battling the interference from Xylos's magnetic storms. Transportation was a patchwork of modified hovercrafts, repurposed mining vehicles, and even adapted ice skates for navigating the treacherous icy tunnels. Daily life was a constant struggle for survival, punctuated by moments of camaraderie and rebellion against the suffocating grip of the Hegemony. The culture within the anchorage was as varied as its inhabitants. It was a melting pot of traditions and beliefs, a patchwork of human cultures interwoven with those of Xylos's native species. Music, a source of solace and unity, resonated through the tunnels, a blend of ancient folk songs, rebellious anthems, and newly composed scores born from their struggle. Art, predominantly sculpted ice and bioluminescent fungal creations, reflected their resilience and the breathtaking beauty of their surroundings. Religious practices varied widely, reflecting the diverse backgrounds of the inhabitants. Despite their differences, a shared sense of defiance against the Hegemony, a determination to reclaim their freedom, was the common thread uniting them. Dangers within the anchorage were manifold. Besides the ever-present threat of the Hegemony discovering their base, there were the risks inherent in living within a hostile environment. Aethelred's icy crust was prone to sudden shifts and tremors, causing cave-ins and structural damage. Xylos's powerful magnetic fields could disrupt technology and even inflict severe radiation poisoning. The deep caverns were home to strange, bioluminescent creatures, some harmless, some deadly. And then there were the mysteries, the whispers of forgotten technologies discovered within Aethelred's depths, technologies that could either bolster their rebellion or prove to be their undoing. The history of the anchorage itself was shrouded in secrecy. The anchorage's origins were lost in the mists of time, a network of tunnels and caverns that predated the current rebellion. Legends speak of a forgotten civilization that once inhabited Aethelred, a civilization that vanished, leaving behind cryptic clues and advanced technology that the rebels have only begun to understand. Some whisper of a powerful energy source, hidden deep within the moon's core, a source that could be the key to winning the war against the hegemony. This legend has led to expeditions into the deepest parts of the moon, some returning with incredible discoveries, others lost forever in the labyrinthine tunnels. The hegemony, a vast interstellar empire ruled by a ruthless authoritarian regime, cast a long shadow over the Whisperwind Anchorage. The hegemony's relentless pursuit of control extended across countless star systems, fueled by a thirst for resources and power. Their oppressive rule had driven many species to rebellion, and the Anchorage served as a vital hub for this resistance. The rebels fought a desperate guerrilla war against the hegemony's superior forces, striking swiftly and retreating into the labyrinthine tunnels of Aethelred. Their very existence was a testament to their courage and ingenuity, a flickering candle of hope in the darkness of the hegemony's reign. The success of the rebellion rested upon the strategic location of the Anchorage, its secrecy, and the resourcefulness of its inhabitants. The struggle for survival, however, was far from over. The fate of the rebellion, and perhaps the fate of many worlds, hung precariously in the balance, nestled within the shimmering rings of Xylos. The rhythmic thrum of Xylos's magnetic field resonated deep within Elara Vance's bones, a constant, low hum that had become the soundtrack to her existence since arriving at the Whisperwind Anchorage. Elara, a human xenobotanist, was a whirlwind of controlled energy, her movements precise and purposeful despite the chaotic environment. Her dark hair, perpetually escaping its practical braid, was streaked with iridescent blue, a testament to her many encounters with Xylos's unique flora. Her eyes, the color of warm honey, held a spark of unwavering curiosity, offset by the faint lines etched around them, evidence of years spent hunched over microscopes and trekking through alien landscapes. She was lean but wiry, her body accustomed to the rigors of fieldwork, her hands permanently stained with the residue of 1,000 different plant pigments. A small, intricately carved bone pendant, a gift from a nomadic tribe on the planet Kepler 186f, rested against her chest, a silent reminder of her adventurous spirit. Elara's passion for xenobotany bordered on obsession. Since graduating top of her class at the prestigious Xenobiology Institute on Kepler 16b, she dedicated her life to cataloging the galaxy's diverse plant life, venturing to the most remote corners of the known universe. Her meticulous research, often conducted under perilous conditions, had yielded invaluable insights into the symbiotic relationships between plants and their environments, leading to breakthroughs in sustainable agriculture and bioremediation. But her relentless pursuit of knowledge had also earned her a reputation as a maverick, a rule-breaker who frequently bypassed official channels in her quest for new discoveries. This defiance, coupled with her documented run-ins with the hegemony's increasingly stringent regulations on extraterrestrial research, eventually led to her fleeing the bureaucratic labyrinth of the Galactic Federation and seeking refuge in the Whisperwind Anchorage. Her arrival at the Anchorage was less a planned move and more a desperate act of survival. After her research vessel was attacked by hegemony forces during an unauthorized expedition to a newly discovered planet teeming with unknown flora, she escaped in an escape pod, her meticulously collected data miraculously intact. The Anchorage, a beacon of rebellion on her emergency comm unit, represented a haven and a chance to continue her work, albeit under significantly less ideal conditions. Her current goal was straightforward: to continue documenting the unique bioluminescent fungi of Aethelred and understand how they thrive in such an extreme environment. However, lurking beneath this scientific ambition was a deep-seated fear of the hegemony catching up to her, a fear exacerbated by her inherent distrust of authority. Elara felt a gnawing unease about the secrecy surrounding the Anchorage's past, a past she was determined to unravel, alongside her botanical studies. In stark contrast to Elara's controlled energy was Lyra, a Xylosian artist whose existence felt as ethereal and shifting as the gas giant itself. Lyra's skin, a pale, almost translucent blue, shimmered faintly under the bioluminescent light, her long, slender limbs ending in delicate, six-fingered hands that moved with fluid grace. Her eyes, large and obsidian black, possessed a depth that hinted at untold stories, and her hair, a cascade of finely spun ice crystals, seemed to absorb the light around her. She was strikingly beautiful, a fragile creature sculpted from moonlight and ice, yet her movements held a quiet power, a contained wildness that spoke of a spirit untamed. But Lyra's beauty hid a deep-seated vulnerability, a melancholy that was as much a part of her as her unique physiology. She carried herself with a reserved elegance, but her eyes often held a faraway look, reflecting the isolation she had endured. Lyra's art was her lifeblood, her rebellion against a society that sought to confine her creativity. Growing up in the rigidly structured Xylosian city of Glacies, she had always felt different, an outcast yearning for forms of expression deemed unstable and dangerously imaginative by the conservative elders. Her art wasn't traditional painting or sculpting. Instead, she manipulated Xylos's powerful magnetic fields, harnessing their energy to create intricate, ephemeral light sculptures that danced and shifted in response to her commands. These breathtaking displays, however, were considered an affront to the established order, their unpredictable nature viewed as a threat to the social harmony Glacies painstakingly maintained. After years of suppressing her true self, she was finally banished from her home, deemed too dangerous to exist within its structured society. She sought refuge in the Whisperwind Anchorage, drawn by the promise of freedom and the potential to connect with others who understood the importance of self-expression, even if that expression came with inherent risks. Lyra's current goals were simpler than Elara's: to create, to express herself without fear of judgment, to find acceptance within this chaotic, unpredictable community. But beneath this simple desire lay a profound internal conflict. The freedom of the anchorage, while liberating, was also isolating. She struggled to connect with others, her unique artistic abilities often viewed with suspicion or fear. She yearned for understanding, for someone who could appreciate the beauty of her chaotic art, someone who didn't view her creative energy as a threat. The very nature of her art, its unpredictability, mirrored her own emotional state, a constant flux between vibrant exhilaration and crippling self-doubt. Her emotional state, initially one of cautious hope, was slowly darkening under the weight of isolation and self-consciousness. She existed on the periphery of the Anchorage community, a beautiful, enigmatic ghost haunting the shadows of the rebel base. Yet, both Lyra and Elara's paths are now inextricably intertwined within the humming heart of Aethelred. Their first encounter occurred during a particularly violent Xylosian magnetic storm. Elara, engrossed in collecting samples of a rare phosphorescent fungus near a newly discovered cavern, barely registered the initial tremor that shook the ice. Then came the blinding flash of light, followed by a deafening crackle that overloaded her comm unit. The bioluminescent fungi around her flickered wildly, their light distorted by the surging magnetic energy. Disoriented, she stumbled, her carefully collected samples scattering across the ice. Simultaneously, Lyra, working on a new light sculpture in a nearby tunnel, felt the surge of energy resonate deep within her, a surge that threatened to overwhelm her fragile creation. Her carefully woven magnetic field patterns distorted, the ethereal sculpture threatening to collapse into a chaotic mess of light and energy. She gasped, reaching out with trembling hands to try to regain control, but the storm's power was too great. As the storm raged, a stray chunk of ice, dislodged by the seismic activity, hurtled towards Elara, threatening to crush her. Lyra, instinctively sensing the danger, reacted without conscious thought. With a precise movement of her hand, she manipulated a stray beam of magnetic energy, deflecting the ice shard just millimeters from Elara. The deflected ice crashed into a nearby tunnel wall, sending a shower of icy dust into the air. Elara, momentarily stunned, looked up to see a figure silhouetted against the shimmering bioluminescent fungi. The figure, graceful and ethereal, moved with unnerving fluidity, their movements somehow bending the very light around them. The sight, even amidst the chaos, sparked Elara's scientific curiosity. Lyra, pale blue skin barely visible in the storm's glow, stared back at Elara, her obsidian eyes wide with a mixture of concern and exhaustion. Her breath hitched. She had never been so close to another living being in the anchorage. "Are you all right?" Lyra's voice was soft, almost hesitant, a melody woven from the storm's hum. Her Xylosian accent, a lyrical lilt, was almost musical to Elara's ears. Elara, still somewhat dazed, could only manage a breathless, "Yes, thank you." That was remarkable. She gestured towards the ice shard embedded in the wall. What was that? Some kind of kinetic energy redirection? Lyra flinched slightly at Elara's scientific jargon. "I manipulated the magnetic field," she explained, her voice barely above a whisper. It's how I create my art. She gestured vaguely toward the now disintegrating remnants of her light sculpture, a sad smile playing on her lips. Though it seems the storm had other plans today. Art? Elara echoed, her eyes widening in both fascination and slight suspicion. With magnetic fields? This was beyond anything she'd ever encountered in her extensive research. Their initial conversations were a mixture of fascination and frustration. Elara's methodical approach to understanding Lyra's abilities clashed with Lyra's intuitive and emotional understanding of the magnetic fields. Lyra, accustomed to being viewed with suspicion and fear, found Elara's scientific curiosity both intriguing and slightly intimidating. Elara, in turn, struggled to bridge the gap between her empirical worldview and Lyra's artistic expression of the same forces. Over the following weeks, their interactions became more frequent, driven by both necessity. They often found themselves working near each other, both drawn to areas rich in unique bioluminescent fungi and magnetic activity, and a growing mutual respect. Elara, despite her initial caution, was captivated by Lyra's otherworldly beauty and the quiet strength that shone through her gentle demeanor. Lyra, in turn, found herself drawn to Elara's intense curiosity and unyielding passion for understanding the world around her, a passion that mirrored her own artistic drive, though expressed in drastically different forms. Their differences, far from being insurmountable barriers, became the foundation for their growing connection. Elara learned to appreciate the fluid grace of Lyra's movements, the way she seemed to command the very energy of the moon. Lyra, in turn, began to see the beauty in Elara's precise observations and her dedication to recording the wonders of Aethelred's unique ecosystem. They found a common language in their shared appreciation for the beauty and power of Xylos and its moon, a language spoken not in words, but in shared glances and quiet understanding amidst the echoing silence of Aethelred's tunnels. The rebellious spirit that brought them together in the first place blossomed into something far more profound, a shared love for a world both wild and beautiful, and a quiet, unexpected love for each other. Their burgeoning romance was a fragile bloom in the harsh landscape of Aethelred. One evening, while sharing a meager meal of hydroponically grown tubers and recycled water, a tremor shook the anchorage. It was stronger than usual, a deep, guttural groan that reverberated through the ice. The bioluminescent fungi flickered erratically, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to writhe with an unnatural life of their own. A low hum, distinct from Xylos's magnetic field, pulsed through the tunnels. "That's not a natural tremor," Elara said, her voice tight with apprehension. She'd spent enough time studying Aethelred's geological activity to recognize the difference between a natural shift and something else. Lyra, her usual ethereal calm replaced with a palpable unease, nodded. "It feels intentional." Their fear was confirmed moments later when alarms blared throughout the anchorage, the piercing shriek cutting through the subterranean silence. A Hegemony scout ship, its stealth technology compromised by a Xylosian magnetic anomaly, had discovered their location. The fragile peace of the anchorage shattered, replaced by the urgent scramble for defenses. The ensuing chaos tested their bond. Elara, driven by her scientific mind, immediately began assessing the situation, analyzing the scout ship's trajectory and the anchorage's vulnerability. Lyra, her artistic nature overwhelmed by fear, found herself paralyzed by the impending threat, her usual control over the magnetic fields faltering. Their different responses created a rift, a brief but painful moment of misunderstanding. Elara's need for immediate action clashed with Lyra's overwhelming sense of helplessness. "Lyra, we need you," Elara said, her voice sharp with urgency, yet laced with concern. "Your control over the magnetic fields, it's our best defense." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. I can't." The fear. She trailed off, unable to articulate the crippling effect the Hegemony's presence had on her artistic control, a skill that depended on calm and focus. A seasoned human fighter, Captain Rex, a grizzled veteran whose weathered face spoke of countless battles, intervened. He understood the delicate balance between their strengths. "Elara, help her," he commanded, his voice firm but understanding. "Lyra needs a focus, something to anchor her. And we need her gift." Elara, realizing the error of her initial approach, took a deep breath and switched gears. Instead of demanding action, she calmly explained the tactical situation, showing Lyra how her ability to manipulate the magnetic fields could disrupt the scout ship's targeting systems, create interference, and potentially even guide stray ice chunks into its path. She spoke not as a superior, but as a fellow warrior, relying on the shared language of defense and survival they'd slowly cultivated in their relationship. Lyra, calmed by Elara's methodical approach and unwavering support, focused on the task at hand. She breathed deeply, drawing strength from Elara's presence, and slowly, tentatively, began to weave a defense around the anchorage. Her art, usually so ethereal, took on a new, fierce intensity, a symphony of light and energy that shielded the base from the Hegemony's attacks. The battle was a harrowing symphony of explosions, laser fire, and the guttural roar of modified hovercrafts defending their home. Elara, utilizing her understanding of Aethelred's geology, guided the rebel fighters, pointing out weak points in the ice and directing evasive maneuvers to counter the Hegemony's attacks. Lyra, her power amplified by Elara's strategic guidance and her growing confidence, channeled Xylos's energy, creating a shimmering, ever-shifting barrier of magnetic force around the anchorage. Their combined skills became a powerful force, their different strengths complementing each other in a dance of survival. But even their combined strength couldn't hold out forever. The crisis point arrived when the Hegemony, realizing the power of Lyra's abilities, sent a more sophisticated vessel, one equipped with anti-magnetic weaponry. The ship was larger, heavily armored, and capable of overwhelming Lyra's defenses. As the new ship's attacks began to breach their defenses, Captain Rex made a harrowing choice. He activated a distress beacon, signaling other rebel groups in nearby systems, but this would compromise the anchorage's secrecy. This was the culmination of their internal struggles, Elara's fear of the Hegemony discovering her, and Lyra's fear of exposing her abilities to those who may not understand. The beacon's activation led to a devastating consequence. A deep fissure opened in the ice, a result of the combined forces of the Hegemony's attacks and the sudden surge of energy released by the beacon. The fissure threatened to split the main habitat complex in two, swallowing both Elara and Lyra in the icy abyss. Their love, their combined strength, their shared determination to survive, all seemed to hang precariously over the gaping chasm. Their bond, though strengthened by the adversity they had faced together, was now tested in its most extreme form, the ultimate threat of death and separation. The rebels were trapped, the outcome uncertain. Their story would now depend not just on their bravery and resourcefulness, but on a fateful discovery that lay beneath the frozen surface of Aethelred, a discovery that could alter the tide of the war, and the course of their love. The whispers of the forgotten civilization, of a powerful energy source hidden deep within the moon's core, were now more than just legends. They were their only hope. The fissure widened, its jagged edges glowing with an eerie blue light emanating from the moon's depths. Elara, clinging to a precarious ledge of ice, watched in horror as the chasm crept closer, threatening to swallow her and Lyra. Lyra, her face pale, her control over the magnetic fields momentarily shattered by fear, clung to Elara, her icy hair plastered to her face. The Hegemony ship loomed overhead, its weapons charged, ready to deliver a final, devastating blow. Hope seemed lost. Then, from the depths of the fissure, a blinding light erupted. It wasn't the cold, sterile light of the Hegemony's weaponry, but a warm, pulsating glow that seemed to throb with ancient energy. The light expanded, pushing back against the encroaching darkness, illuminating a previously hidden cavern. Within the cavern, etched into the ice walls, were intricate carvings, glowing with the same ethereal light, symbols that resonated with the ancient legends Elara had heard whispered in the anchorage's shadowed tunnels. The legends spoke of a forgotten civilization, of a power source hidden deep within Aethelred's core, a source capable of altering the balance of power. The legends were true. As the light intensified, a surge of pure energy pulsed outward, causing the Hegemony ship's systems to overload. The ship sputtered, its weapons failing, before plummeting into the fissure, swallowed by the same force that had revealed its secrets. The tremor subsided, the fissure's expansion halted. The ancient energy, awakened by the Hegemony's intrusion and the activation of the distress beacon, had acted as a safeguard. Lyra, her eyes wide with awe and wonder, felt a surge of power surge through her. The fear that had paralyzed her was replaced by a profound connection to the energy emanating from the cavern, a connection that flowed through her, reinforcing her control over the magnetic fields. She reached out, her hands glowing with the same ethereal light, and manipulated the energy, subtly repairing the damaged sections of the ice, closing the fissure slowly, safely. The ancient power source, a symbiotic network of crystalline structures that harnessed Aethelred's geothermal energy, was responding to her. Elara, her scientific mind reeling from the impossible sight, watched in stunned silence. The legends were more than just stories, they were a testament to the boundless wonders of the universe, and to the extraordinary abilities of the Xylosian people. She realized, with a sudden clarity, the immense potential of the discovery, a potential far beyond simple survival. The discovery could give the rebels a decisive advantage in the war against the Hegemony. But she also understood that with this immense power came an even greater responsibility. Their combined knowledge and abilities were not just for survival but for securing a future for the inhabitants of the Anchorage, a future free from oppression. As the fissure sealed, Lyra turned to Elara, her obsidian eyes shining with a newfound strength and confidence. The fear that had haunted her was gone, replaced by a sense of purpose and belonging. Elara, in turn, saw a depth to Lyra that transcended her earlier anxieties. She had witnessed not just Lyra's artistic prowess but her profound connection to the heart of their world, a connection that extended to the very fabric of Aethelred. Their shared experience had forged an unbreakable bond. They didn't need words to express the depth of their feelings. Their shared struggle against the hegemony, the near-death experience, and the awe of witnessing an ancient power source awakened, these had solidified their love into an unyielding force, as powerful and enduring as the energy source they'd discovered. The discovery of the ancient energy source marked a turning point for the Whisperwind Anchorage. The rebels, united by a shared purpose and strengthened by their newfound power, launched a coordinated counteroffensive against the hegemony. Elara, combining her scientific expertise with the knowledge of the ancient technology, worked tirelessly to harness the energy source for the Anchorage's defense. Lyra, no longer confined by her fear, used her art to amplify and control the energy, creating formidable defenses and devastating countermeasures. Their combined efforts turned the tide of the war, leading to a series of decisive victories. The hegemony, unprepared for the rebels' newfound power, suffered heavy losses, and their oppressive regime slowly crumbled. The Anchorage, once a clandestine rebel base, became a symbol of resistance and a beacon of hope for countless worlds oppressed by the hegemony. The fragile alliance within the Anchorage strengthened, forging a unique culture that celebrated both its diversity and the unity born from adversity. Elara's xenobotanical expertise and Lyra's artistic abilities became invaluable assets to the collective. They shared their knowledge, fostering a new era of scientific discovery and artistic expression that flourished in the freedom they had fought for. Elara and Lyra, their individual fears overcome, built a life together amid the breathtaking beauty of Aethelred. They were no longer running from the past, but shaping the future, their scientific and artistic collaborations pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Their love story, born in a chaotic storm and tested by extreme adversity, became a legend within the Anchorage, a testament to the power of resilience, shared dreams, and the enduring strength of love found in the most unexpected places. Their love was a bloom, not just surviving but thriving, in the heart of a gas giant's iridescent rings, a testament to hope found amidst the harsh beauty of Xylos's embrace. The whispers of the past had led them to a future stronger than they could have ever imagined, a future forged in their shared love and mutual respect, a future where their unique skills combined to build a better, more just world.